What's poppin', internet? Welcome to another episode of Synced Up Impressions, the new show where we talk about the latest and greatest games coming out and our impressions on those games. Not our overall review, just our first impressions after playing a few hours of the game. Granted, with the specific game we're going to be talking about this week, I've put actually quite a bit of time into it because I've been playing it all day. And that is Assassins Creed Valhalla. And joining me this week is your boy, number one Nintendo fan, to talk about the non-Nintendo game, Michael Clare. What's up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm doing really good.
How you feeling on this day after getting your Xbox, trying it out?
I feel like a new man.
A new man?
I feel taken back to my younger years.
Yeah.
Finally getting the system.
How's it feel being a non-Nintendo gamer for the first time in a long time?
Feels dirty.
It feels dirty? Like you cheating on your wife?
Yeah, I feel like my Nintendo Switch is over there looking at me like,
Yeah.
you know you're not playing with me.
Yeah. Well,
So.
if you've been living under a rock this past couple of months, you don't know, the Xbox Series X and Series S both dropped today. We both got our hands on a box, and that's what we're going to be playing on today. And I got my hands on, of course, Assassin's Creed Valhalla to give you my impressions on it. But before we actually get into the actual meat of the thing here, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping for you. We're on YouTube. If you're, well, this isn't even in the podcasting feed, is it? So I don't even need to give that plug because you're already here on YouTube. But we have a regular show that goes up every Monday, 7 a.m. Central on youtube.com/syncedupodcast and in your favorite podcasting service that you can watch there. That's where we go through the news and the games that we've been playing throughout the week. You can also write into that show, do all of that jazz. None of that really matters here when we're talking about this specific show. So let's just get right into it because I want to into the meat. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla, my general impressions of the game, to just be general up front, is I think it's good. I think it's a great game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think my game clock is currently sitting at 9.5 hours right now. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I can't remember where I last saved it at, but so I put a lot of time into the game. I've made it through the intro. I've made it through all of that stuff, and I'm getting into the actual game here. Have you switched the thing over, Kylie? Do that for me, please. So
this is the third installment in what we would consider probably
the new age,
the revision
yes,
of Assassin's Creed, of course, being Origins first and then Odyssey second, and now Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where you play as Ivor. Or what's the?
It's just they're both Ivor.
Okay, they're both Ivor.
Yes.
Yeah, a Viking in England. Yeah.
Well, yes, you start in Norway and you eventually move your way into England.
Is the main bulk of the game in England?
I would assume so. Really, I mean, it took me 6 or 7 hours to get out of Norway, which is like the intro, the classic of this new age Assassin's Creed game. You see they like to not give you that title splash until way deep into the game. So about 6 or 7 hours in, I got the title splash, finished the introductory sequence, made it to England, and now it feels like,
So it seems like they're treating Norway as the prologue.
The intro. Like if anyone who's played Odyssey knows that first island, anyone who plays Origins also knows that like first little area where you can only do certain stuff before it kind of opens and expands into like a greater game. There's only a few synchronization points. There's a few kind
of like the plateau in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, there's a few things on the map and then it opens up where you're like, oh, there's a bunch of shit, and that's kind of where I feel like I'm at right now in England, finally getting my feet wet with the meat of the game, getting that hub world, that new hub world that they've added where you do stuff. Also, you'll notice that this, I mean, unless it finesses me, is going to load quite quickly, especially compared to compared to the original Xbox One. The Series X loads insanely fast. Fast travel, booting into the game is all like so quick.
Yeah, and you've played both versions.
Yes, so I started last night. Started last night on the regular Xbox One because the game dropped last night and I didn't have my Series X, and I played a good 2 or 3 hours of it, and then I switched over to the Series X as soon as it came in this morning, and a noticeable difference off the rip.
Oh yeah.
You might not notice it coming through here. Because I think our thing only exports at 1080p, but the 4K textures, the lighting, everything is a lot better on the Series X. The load times, obviously, off the get-go is quite impressive, from going to like a 40 to 50 second initial load to a 10 to 12 second initial load, and then dying was 20 seconds. I could pull out my phone when I died now, maybe 4 or 5 seconds, something like that, before it's like, oh,
it really helps you stay immersed in the game. And I think that probably speaks more to the Xbox Series X than Valhalla does.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into the Xbox Series X in a different time.
Yeah.
But for now, let's talk about this game. I have a couple questions prepared.
What do we got? What do you want to know?
Was we've talked about it with companies like Supergiant, where they'll release their games, and each time they release another game, they kind of build on what they learned from the previous game. Does Ubisoft feel like they're learning from their old games? Does this feel like a straight up improvement on Odyssey, or does it just feel like Odyssey with a different texture and different features?
Iterative versus innovative.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know where I land exactly on this one. As someone, I put about 30, 40 hours into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I put it roughly the same into Origins. Origins, I actually finished the story. Odyssey, I never did. Thinking back, I mean, it's been a while since Origins, so I can't think there. But thinking back to Odyssey, I'm not quite sure. I feel like there's some innovations in certain areas. You see a lot of the same stuff that you would have seen in those games from the the inventory screen, this new gear system that they brought into Origins. You see a lot of the same stuff, but it feels like they've fixed some things and they've changed some things, and it's kind of a blend between iterative and innovative. If you play this game, you will definitely 100% see, hey, this feels familiar. This feels very similar. But also in the same breath, you're going to see a lot of stuff that's quite different. The loot, for example, in this game, I've been playing for 10 or almost 10 hours. Actually, you know what? I can pull up my game time right now, and I can show you if I hit the load button. So yeah, 9 hours 25 minutes is how long I've been playing right now. And you can just see here, anyone who's played Odyssey will remember how full this screen was all the time. And I've got nothing. I've got some weapons, and I got some shields or whatever, and I haven't got much at all. I think I got a couple of bows too, yeah. But in terms of gear, you're getting way less gear drops here. It feels a lot less random, like you're picking up just dagger of this, dagger of that. It feels like there's more. Hey, this is the Spartan bow. This is the like you're getting more stuff. I'm not getting a bunch of copies of an item with different stats.
So do you think you're getting it's more quality over quantity when it comes to the loot system now?
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider it quality though. I would definitely say the quantity has been toned down. It feels more like, because I'm going to compare this to Dark Souls a lot, because there's a lot of things in here that it seems like has been brought. I don't know about brought over from Dark Souls, but it's very reminiscent of the Dark Souls formula. And the loot system feels that way of it's not an RPG loot system. It's predetermined, like loot is here, 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 and here. And you go get it there. Anyone who goes there will find that piece of loot there. The gears around the map. I mean, for example, if we look at the legend here, you have a thing right here. See this little yellow symbol right here? Yeah. Just gear. Symbol. You're going to get gear from that chest. And that's what it definitely feels like. Hey, yeah, here's one right over here. You know what? I'll go over here and grab this shit. You're going to get gear just specifically for that location for wherever you're at. And that's what's going to be. And
so it's not like RNG trying to get the best gear. It's just like you can go get the best gear immediately if you know where it's at. And
yeah, it feels like RPG light. And as you can see, that fast travel was absolutely insanely quick. But yeah, that is definitely different from Odyssey. The combat is a lot different. Well, I don't know about a lot different. It's similar in certain ways, but also different in other ways. The stagger system, this system where people have, I need to find an enemy so I can show you it. But there's like this new stun system. There's different systems compared to Odyssey, because Odyssey, a lot of the enemies just felt like classic RPG enemies, bullet spongy, named enemies, stuff like that, boss enemies. You have those here, but it's just, I don't know. There's just something different about it. And there's the stamina system with dodging and missing attacks. It's not 100% like Dark Souls. I hearken it a lot to Dark Souls, but I don't 100%, because you can do all kinds of crazy stuff and still have plenty of stamina. Like if you hit enemies, you get stamina back. If you do other stuff. But
you're not necessarily worried about it as a resource.
But it definitely feels there is a level of resource management of like, oh, hey, I got to make sure I don't run out of stamina, because if I do, I'm going to be standing there and they're going to be able to, I'm not going to be able to parry. I'm not going to be able to swing. I'm going to be kind of vulnerable.
Well, speaking of the fighting system, stamina and stuff like that, how does it feel to fight as a Viking in this game?
It feels so good.
Does it feel different than how you were playing back in Odyssey? Does the combat feel different?
The combat definitely feels different, because this game, at least what I've seen so far, and you remember when I was sitting over there on the couch playing this game, going through that fortress, and I was just killing enemies upon enemies upon enemies, simply because I was deep in a fortress that I was not supposed to be at, and I should have had my homies with me, because you can do Viking raids in this game, and I should have had my homies with me, and I didn't, and I was alone, and I didn't know that, and I was just killing enemy after enemy after enemy. It's a lot different than Odyssey. In Odyssey, if you got swarmed by a bunch of enemies, it was kind of like, oh, maybe I should get out of here. Maybe I should run. A lot more relying on stealth to make sure to clear out the pack before you get in there. Any like big time enemies, you just straight up be like, oh, I'm not gonna fuck with this.
So do you like that aspect where, I mean, Assassin's Creed has usually been a game of, solo combat. You are alone as the assassin, with some exceptions where you could call,
like from
random
Unity
people up to like distract and stuff like that. Do you enjoy that aspect instead, where you get to have a team with you that you can help do some
and
stuff
the team isn't with you all the time, but you do have your longboat, which you would have seen at the very beginning of this video. Back, I almost jumped on it. Over here is my longboat. You can call it wherever you are. And you can use that to go on coastal raids. Like this here these are monasteries. You can raid those with your you can burn them down. You can loot them. You can do whatever to get gear for your home base or whatever. But they're not with you all the time, so you still get that good. If you just want to go do stuff solo, like I did with that fortress, you can do that, and you will feel like a badass doing it. You definitely feel like a Viking. And what I was trying to harken on about the differences between this and Odyssey is, in Odyssey, the enemies felt a lot more notable. But see, I'll just show you here. Actually, I'm just gonna run in here. I'm not even gonna sneak. This is a restricted area. I don't know if there's any enemies around. I'm using this Odin site, which is a semi-new thing, which is really good. But like this dude, like I can just see I'm just murdering. Whereas compared to Odyssey,
it would have taken like
I would have had to been a lot more methodical. And you do got to be kind of methodical in this a little bit, but like not to the full degree. And then see, this is that stun thing I was telling you about. They have little highlighted parts on their bodies. You shoot those, they'll go down. You can come up, do this, do a crazy animation. Yeah. Completely murder them. It's awesome, and you get a lot of XP. It's very fun.
A lot more brutal than previous iterations of the Assassins.
But you can be less worried about having to sneak around. You can just come in here, and of course you still have your sneak stuff. You can still, you still got the hidden blade, and you still got all that if you want. And if you look at the skill tree, you have a lot of options of going with
how to build your character,
upgrading stealth or upgrading attack or whatever it is that you want to do.
So I have a question. But a lot of people's problem with stealth games is most of the time they feel cornered into having to play a certain way instead of being able to play how they want. Do you feel like they've gotten rid of that in this game, where you can almost disregard stealth if you wanted to? Yeah, you just be a badass Viking instead.
You definitely have options here and I haven't tried a lot of them out just because I'm enjoying the double axes so much and just running in, and I'm having so much fun with that. You have a ton of options here with the different weapon types. Two-handed axes. I can run with double shields if I want. Daggers, flails, hammers, all this type of stuff. And then also, of course, you still have your stealth area if you want to get nitty gritty in the skill tree, which you can respec at any time you want. See down there, I can press Y and I can just reset all my skills. If you want to get nitty gritty into this stealth style stuff, chain assassinations, advanced assassinations, all these type of things to really boost your assassinations, you can do that. And another cool thing about this game, which I haven't seen a lot of people harken on, and I don't know if I can change it while I'm in here. Specifically, you got a lot of accessibility options, but let me try. Right here. So as you can see here, you got different difficulties for every single thing in the world. Okay. So if you want the combat to be a lot harder, where if you get caught, it's going to be difficult. If you want it to be easier to sneak around and go ham, you can do that. If you want it to be super hard to sneak around, you can do that. And same with exploration. If you want, they had this in Odyssey where you could turn off all the objective markers and just listen to people talk to you and tell you where to go, and you do that. Or if you want there to be a ton of objective markers, you can do this. And I've picked the default on all. I feel that's pretty good. I might end up upping this combat difficulty a little more because I did murder like 300 dudes, and it wasn't difficult at all. And I lived pretty much the whole way. But yeah, you have a bunch of options there. So if you are someone that wants to specifically sneak around a lot and you feel like you're not able to do that, you can go in here, go into the options, and just change and just make it easier for you. Be a lot more accessible in that area, because maybe you like how difficult it is in the combat, but you want it to be easier to sneak. You can do that, and that's kind of nice here.
That's cool.
Splitting those up.
That they make it the player's decision on how difficult to make the game in certain aspects, instead of forcing certain difficulties onto the player. Yeah, I think that's a very good design. Let's move on to the world. How are you liking England?
I'm liking England a hell of a lot more than Norway, I'll tell you that much, specifically because Norway is very snowy. There's a lot of snow going on, and I very much like the pretty countryside of England comparatively to Norway. And I know that one of the big points that they made on the way into this game is there's different areas. So there's areas I haven't seen yet, like swamplands and things like that, that I haven't got to see yet. But I'm enjoying the environments.
You said earlier when we were talking before the show that you were almost shocked by how open it was and how you could explore so much of the area. Is that still true in the past couple more hours you played?
Yeah, you have. Yeah, it feels like. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like you can pretty much go anywhere you want or whatever. And there's a lot. It is very open, especially with that one point specifically when we were talking about that. For me, was the fact that you can climb anything was the main thing that I was talking about there. Yeah. Was you can, in true Breath of the Wild fashion, you can just go wherever you want. There's some exceptions, like when I was climbing a mountain in Norway, you couldn't climb up ice parts, and you couldn't do that. But that was because you would get to the top, and it was more of a puzzly section, and that's why they wanted to do that there. But like if I wanted to scale just any cliff, you pretty much can. You just run up to it, and you hold A or you press A, and there will be a handhold there for you to grab, and you can just go and just do that. And that's pretty nice to not have to be like, how the fuck do I get up here? Yeah. And constantly running around things to try to figure out where the specific way is to get to the top or on the roof or up the cliff. And you don't really have that in this compared to, Assassin's Creeds of past. Like if there's a house, you can climb it, just pretty much jump up on any part of it, and you will climb your way up to the top, which is very nice. Cool. And I also really like this right here. It's also making it easier for me to talk because I don't got to do much. If it's very Red Dead 2 style, and you can pretty much just say, hey, go to the marker that I put. So I'm gonna put like a marker right here. We're gonna go do a raid. Okay. But like I can, hey, just go to that marker, and I can also throw it in a cinematic camera, and it'll do cool shit like this. Cool. And you can get yourself some screenshots, do this, that, and the other. It's also pretty nice. Being able, you can have your dudes sing, tell stories to you while you go.
Yeah, kind of like
change the song.
Shanties from like Black Flag.
Yeah. Okay. You can make them start, stop. You can make them switch to stories. I can have them tell stories and stuff like that. That's really cool.
How do you feel about the story so far?
I actually should go here because I'm not badass.
Do you feel like you're going to enjoy this game more for the gameplay, or do you think you're actually going to care about the story as well here?
I'm liking the story so far. I've had very little, because anyone who knows me knows I have problems with the future stuff in Assassin's Creed. I've always been one. It feels like it fucks up the pacing, and it kind of changes things up a lot, and I don't really like that. I like, it messes the pacing up of the story. It messes with the themes, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people love the futuristic stuff, so don't take my word on that one there. But specifically for me, I don't like the futuristic stuff. But it doesn't feel like, just like in Odyssey, one of the big points that people loved in Odyssey was the fact that when you got to the futuristic stuff, it was kind of optional in a sense, where you could explore the little area and get all the details that you wanted, or you could just jump right back in the Animus and get back into the action. And that was very nice.
Well, what about Ivor's story?
Ivor's story specifically, I haven't seen a ton of it because I've been just going ham.
So that's something that'll have to be discussed in like a later review. Okay.
But I do like it so far. I'll say that much. I've obviously only played a little bit. Once I got to England, I've kind of just been running around and exploring, so I haven't really done much there. I've seen very little of some of the systems of the game, like the Alliance system that they've added. I haven't done the quest for that yet, so I haven't got to see that. But her story specifically seems cool. But I can't really talk on that specific part that much, even though I'm 10 hours into the game.
What about some of the other characters you've met? Do you, like,
they're
not necessarily all the important ones, but even NPCs and stuff like that. From what I've seen, there's a lot of crazy interactions.
Yeah.
Just with small side characters, but
yeah, I would say they feel memorable. Very much so. I think that they're memorable, and it's difficult for me to remember their names specifically because they're Nordic names. So that's it's not because they're not memorable, but because they're Nordic. So I don't know how to say them half the time. But I definitely think that the characters in this game, they feel fully realized and they feel nice, and and I like them. I like them enough. You got your brother, you got your king, all kinds of stuff. All these other side characters, your brother's wife and stuff that you see, and then of course you got side quests with more minor characters. And I don't remember their names, but I remember those characters. There's some side quests in the beginning area that I'm not going to spoil because they're very funny. Where stuff happens, it's quite humorous.
Now, of course, the most important aspect of this game. What about flighting?
The rap battles, I actually like them. They're kind of cool. They don't take a whole lot of thought.
Yeah.
Basically, your opponent spits a rhyme, and then you're given 3 options, and you have to kind of mentally syllable count in your head, and you have to make sure it rhymes, which is perfect for me. Obviously, for people who know me, because I make hip hop music occasionally. And yeah, so they give you 3 options, and you kind of have to be like, hey, which one's the best one? And you got to try to stay on theme, and you got to try to roast them and stuff like that. And you bet money on it, and it's fun. I like it. I like the mini games. It seems
like there's a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say mini games, like small things in this game.
You can play dice. You can drink. Like you can compete in drinking, and all of those you can place bets on and have fun there, and that's all nice. I'm trying to think. There's other like more miniature stuff. There's like a rock stacking mini game that you can get. It's not really a game. It's more of like if like haikus from Ghost of Tsushima. If you remember that, I'm gonna go for a raid here. We're about to go in with the boys. And raiding is one of my favorite things to do. You just roll up. You announce that you're rolling up. Your homies jump out,
start swinging.
And then everyone just starts murdering. And the reason I like it is because your homies feel comparable. And I think that's why this game is designed in the way where I was talking about in the combat with have I already rated? Where's all the people at? Where it feels different than Odyssey, where it feels like you're mowing down a lot of enemies. And I think it's because it's designed for these specific situations.
Bigger raids and stuff like that.
Because if the enemies were like they were in Odyssey, you couldn't have these moments where you're just in here with your homies just going absolutely ham, just murdering a bunch of people.
Well, while you're hacking and slashing, can you speak to some of the important differences between the previous gen version and the next gen version of this game?
Well, first and foremost, speed in terms of
loading times, stuff like
that. That's to be expected for pretty much every game. I don't know if this game is Xbox Series X enhanced, so I don't know if this has like any special things there. I know the lighting has been obviously better there. There's some stuff that I could note, but I think a lot of things I'm noticing are placebo effect from the fact that I just got a fancy new toy.
Yeah.
I will say the most notable thing is the fact that I really didn't realize how big of a difference going from 30 frames to 60 frames per second would be. It's a lot smoother. It's definitely noticeable going because I unplugged this. I was playing this, unplugged it, plugged in the Series X. Played it not immediately, had to wait for it to download, but pretty much played it immediately again. And then,
And that's the first thing you notice, of course, is the 60 frames per second.
Yeah, and I was
just because that's like, immediately the game just looks smoother and better because of that.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody's missing out by playing, the current gen version?
No.
Or I guess the older.
I don't think so at all. I think the older gen version is very comparable, and you don't need the new consoles to be able to enjoy that. Obviously, the new consoles is nice because never have any desire to pull out your phone, and I'm more amped, like you've seen earlier where I just fast traveled right back. I'm more apt to, if my ship's down here, it might be faster for me to fast travel down here than it would be to walk, whereas on the previous generation, no way in hell was I going to fast travel just that far. Like I'm gonna walk down there because it's going to be quicker, but that's not the case here. I'm a lot more apt to fast travel. Oh damn, I got ambushed. And I like this game. I like this game a lot. Another thing I would like to talk about as I completely
Jesus Christ, man.
you obliterate this dude is the fact that I very much enjoy the skill tree system and the ability system that they've gone for here. I'm going to pause it so I can focus. The skill tree system, you're getting a lot of skill points. As you can see, I'm power level 36, which means I don't know if that means I'm level 36. I don't think there's a specific level to my character. I don't really see. Yeah, just power 36. Basically, every time you level up, you get 2 skill points. And then there's other things you can do in the world to get you more skill points, to up charisma, to up. Like when I did the stacking mini game, I got more skill points from that. And I can reset them at any time. I can just go around and grab all these. I like this because it feels like I'm able to build more minutia things. And this is how you unlock certain abilities. Like I can highlight enemies around me with when I'm just crouching, which is very nice. Do more damage to enemies in the back, my better assassinations, my chain assassinations. That's how you unlock these abilities, is you get to them and you unlock them with just a skill point. But for more complex abilities like these, for example.
Oh, God.
Impale enemy. See, I don't have a harpoon, but I'm going to equip this. So around the world, you find these books of knowledge. I don't know how many there are. If you can see the black circles here, it looks like there's a decent amount. On the left, you have your range. On your right, you have melee. People who played Odyssey will very much know this system. It's very familiar to them. Except for it was more of a skill tree in Odyssey than it is here, where you got to find a book. You can find multiple books of the same skill that'll just enhance that skill. You basically just equip one of these to one of the slots, and I assume there's a way to increase my ability meter, as you see down there, that little yellow bar.
Yeah.
That as I do stuff, that just increases. You can see it increasing here, going up. that increases. And as long as I have some of that yellow bar, like if I have that yellow bar full all the way, I can just do any one of my abilities.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. And they're a little lenient with it too. For example, you have a limited number of arrows. I don't remember if that was in Odyssey. If you had a limited number of arrows, I can break this stained glass. Sorry, stained glass. But if my arrows are at 0, I could still use my arrow abilities. Like it'll still let me shoot arrows with my special arrow abilities, which is very nice.
They don't want to stop you from being cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna have my homie help me put this open. But man, these raids are so cool. I like these raids a lot. They're very fun. Just going through, even though my team just completely burns everything to the ground when we're done, and I don't really want to do that. But
is this game, because I've seen, the Assassin's Creed series just get bigger and bigger every time.
Yeah.
Does the game feel too big?
No.
Because I know we've had that problem before in games where there's just too much stuff on the minimap. There's too many elements and things going on. And it kind of starts to take away from the game. You don't feel that happening here at all?
No, I don't feel that happening here actually whatsoever. Odyssey, that was a very big problem for me. Part of the reason I didn't finish that game, the immense amount of question marks all over that goddamn map, everywhere. And I had to complete them. And I was having fun completing them. I'm not saying I wasn't having a fun time. But it just made me get burnt out incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
But here, after I finished murdering these dudes, I'll show you. Go into the map here. Wrong button. I just took a screenshot. Lost my train of thought. What were we talking? Oh, okay.
Talking about things on the map.
So you have various options here. As you can see down here in the bottom, Grattan, I don't know how to pronounce that. But you have wealth, mysteries, and artifacts. Artifacts are these little white dots. Wealth are these yellow dots. Wealth is things to upgrade your town, things to upgrade your person, gear. Mysteries are typically side quests.
Okay.
And then artifacts are obviously artifacts that you would like put in a museum and stuff. But it doesn't feel convoluted here. Like, I think even you can just look at this map right here and notice the immediate difference if you compare it to old Assassin's Creed maps. It's just not as cluttered.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely not as cluttered. And as soon as I do like this synchronization thing, there'll be a couple more dots that pop up, but not that many, because like these would have popped up when I did this synchronization point, but because I was already close enough, they popped up for me there.
Okay.
And they pop up on the compass. You can see them on the compass there. And I can't do my Raven when I'm in combat, but if you bring up your Raven, the Raven will see the dots off in the distance, and they don't feel like they're just convoluting the map where you're like, damn, there's just so much stuff to take care of all the time. It doesn't feel that way. And I'm able to, I wish I could go back to the old map. Wait, maybe I can. Oh, yeah, I can. Okay. Here we go. Oh, no, I can't. No, maybe.
Maybe because you're in a raid right now.
Possibly. Who knows? But if I could go back to this other map, I would have been able to show you. Where I had cleared a lot of the stuff, and it didn't feel like it took me that long. It did. Whereas in Odyssey, I put 36 hours into it and didn't even make it halfway through the story because there's just so much stuff to do all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case here. That was one of the things going into this game was, hey, this game's not as big. This game's not as, and people were worried about that. People were like, hey, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean you're cutting content? Like, what does that mean? And I don't think that's a negative here at all. I actually think the amount they cut is quite a positive, especially, again, like with the loot system and stuff. Like it doesn't feel like there's as much shit in your face all the time.
I agree, because that was looking at, because I stopped playing Black, and what came out after Black Flag? It was like Rogue.
Yeah, it would have been like Rogue, Syndicate,
I think those were the last ones I ended up playing, and then I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since. And I haven't played Odyssey or Origins. And the hard part about trying to get back into those games was they always looked too big and pretty overwhelming to just hop into.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's not nearly as bad in this game.
No.
Where you can hop in, and if you wanted to, probably complete the story in a reasonable time.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like you're, at least I haven't hit that point, which is the point in Odyssey where I stopped playing, where there's just this big, crazy learning curve in the middle. Not learning curve, a skill curve in the middle where you just can't do the next quest because you're not high enough level.
Yeah, you have to go explore and actually
and
complete a whole bunch of side quests.
Yeah, and you have to do that for a while, and I'm not really experiencing that here. I feel like I'm able to just go on to the next main quest. I have multiple main quests that I can do. burped right into the mic. My apologies.
Jesus Christ, man.
Usually I turn away with it. But I definitely feel like I'm able to. I'm not getting like just completely screwed by like, damn, I really got to go do side shit. Like it feels like I can just do mainline, which is nice. Which is nice. A couple other things to note that I wanted to talk about with this game. The base building is tight. I like it. But that's because I'm a sucker for base building, going and getting stuff and upgrading your base and getting new people to move in. That's really cool.
That was one of my favorite parts of which Assassin's Creed game was it? It wasn't the second one. Brotherhood. Yeah. Where you have the villa and you can upgrade the villa and all that stuff. I love that feature.
I love it as well.
No.
What?
Well, I'm not talking about that.
Well, in Brotherhood, you can upgrade stuff in Brotherhood. Yeah. But yeah, that I do love it, and I'm a sucker for that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And your home base is right here. You can upgrade a lot of stuff. You can build a lot of things. You specifically go for certain things. You want stables. You want this. You want that. Tattoo parlor. You want a merchant. You want whatever. You can get that, and that's really nice, and I dig it a lot. What was the other thing I was going to notice? Oh, another thing I wanted to know about this. This game isn't hand-holdy whatsoever. And I think you've heard me say that quite a few times sitting on the couch.
A couple times.
Like, for example, actually, I think I can show that to you right. Oh, no, I can't because it's just right here. Well, I would have been able to had this not just been right here. But a lot of times you'll go into a town and you'll see things on the map. And you can do this little Odin thing, and it'll scan for you, and it'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
See, like this one, the key's right over here, so I can just grab this shit and I can unlock it, and that's fine. But it'll show like, oh, that thing is underground, or that thing is in this building, or that thing's over here,
but it doesn't tell you how to get there.
And you will just be generally confused at like, how the hell is this a book of? Oh yeah, boy, let's go ability upgrade. I'll take that. It won't tell you how to get in there or how to get down to it or whatever, and that could be a turn off or not for some people. I don't know if changing the exploration setting to the easier one will fix that, but that also applies to side quests. When I take a side quest from someone, they'll be like, hey, we need to do this thing, or this is what's going on, and they'll tell you the thing. It doesn't, like when you go in here, as you can see, I just have main quests right here. Side quests do not pop up in this. And if I go to my completed, these are all main quests. The side quests do not pop up. They call them world events. They're these blue ones, the mysteries. They're not always the world events, but that's what they call them. And you'll just talk to someone and they'll say something. And if you didn't listen to what they were saying, you're going to be lost. And you're not going to be able to complete the damn thing. Because it's not going to show you, hey, do this. For example, there was one with like a little girl. She was like, oh, we got to go raid this thing. Because she's like a aspiring warrior. She's like, oh, we got to go raid. And it was cool. And I got her on my horse, but it didn't tell me where to go. And I was like, I don't know where to go. But if I would have listened to the conversation, she tells you, oh, go around the bend and go down this thing. And you go down there and there's like some dummies set up and you help her do like a thing. But the only reason I knew is because Chance listened and he went and did it. But me, I just left. I was like, I don't know. I think my quest is bugging out. I don't know what to do. And it turns out I'm just an idiot and wasn't listening. Yeah. And a lot of the side quests are that way, where they will say something, they will do something, and if you don't follow them or listen, you're just going to miss out because it's not going to put a marker.
It's going to be interesting if that is actually having to do with the exploration difficulty. If you turn it down all the way, maybe it does give you markers and stuff like that, which is interesting because I think that, that makes you explore more if you don't necessarily know where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of games can just be like waypoint to waypoint to waypoint, and you're not really exploring. So I think that's a benefit to the game as well. Yeah. Especially if it's in the difficulty settings. The more options you give people, I think at the end of the day, it's just better. Like thinking about like, Among Us, how they give you so many options on how to change that game is what makes that game, as small as it is, one of the biggest games in the world.
Yeah. And able to be carried through so many playthroughs of the same damn thing.
Yeah.
It's just being able to do that. Yeah, I fully agree. Another thing they have on this map here is like if you see, you got these big gold ones, which is the wealth, but if you zoom in, you'll have these other little gold dots, like these little minutia things.
And is that just like little resources that you can go pick up?
Yeah, you can scan around.
Because I've seen you grab some that were just like in a building, and it gave you small stuff like that.
Well, you can scan around if you. Oh, see, there you go. So it pings it right here, and this is where you'll get, like, at least from what I can tell, I haven't got any like notable stuff out of this stuff, but this is how you're gonna get the gear to upgrade your personal, like, your bow quiver or your rations, or they got people up here too. Damn. Thank you, friend. They was locking everybody in the cages. Shit.
Well, are you ready for the age-old question? Is it worth it?
Is the game worth it? Personally, yes. I think this game is very much worth it if you just copped your Xbox Series X and you're looking for some next gen games to play, and you don't ride or die Sony or whatever, and you don't have the means to get a PS5 as well, so you can't play Miles Morales and Demon's Souls, and this is all you got, and you're looking for a shiny new thing to play on your new console, I would highly recommend Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And if you're on the old consoles, I would also highly recommend Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because it's just, I think personally, it's just a good game. I'm very much enjoying it, and as a lapsed Assassin's Creed fan, not from Odyssey and Origins, I think those kind of got me back. But even not finishing Odyssey because I was like, oh, I got tired of it, I could definitely see myself going the whole way with this one.
Yeah.
Personally, because it looks a lot more chewable in terms of the amount that's here. Not to say that you're getting less and it's not worth your money, but specifically, I think I'm going to be able to do it. Even though I have a lot of stuff to play right now, I think I'll be able to ride this one out the whole way to the end, which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to playing this eventually. I don't know if I'll wait for a price drop.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a price drop for this game for holiday season?
I don't. Well, maybe for holiday season because holiday sales are weird.
Watch Dogs Legion already $33.
Well, that's a different story. Anyone who watched our previous impressions video on Watch Dogs Legion has to know why that game is already $33. And I think doing that impressions video is is the reason why I decided I actually did not like that game. I couldn't even say I had an okay time. I don't think I really had a good time at all. But this is a stark contrast to that. I'm having a fantastic time. I've played nonstop today. I can't wait to finish this video, take this back over to the damn TV, get back in the party with Chance, and play some more because it's just so fun. Let's do the synchronizing. Let's synchronize up real quick.
It's a really pretty shot.
Let's sync up.
The green fields.
Let's sync up.
This is. Oh, I see what you're doing there. It's a pretty game. Like I said, excited to play it.
Yep.
Only good things from Tim. Definitely an improvement.
Don't really have anything bad to say, I don't think. I mean, the classic Assassin's Creed stuff, climbing on stuff you didn't mean to climb on, things bugging out a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I would say, it's
just the general stuff that you would expect.
You would always have that.
Yeah. And as you can see here, hit the sync point, popped up a couple more things, but even look now, this doesn't feel, there isn't so much shit on my map. And I think partly that is because of the design of these, it's just a little dot.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. If it was all exclamation points and question marks, I'd be a little more freaked out because I feel like I have to go do that. Since it's a little dot, it makes it feel like
it's like, hey, here's a little blue dot.
If you're over here, maybe come grab this. And
it's nice. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm gonna do this quest eventually, but yeah. So all in all, I think you can get us off of the game, Kylie. All in all, I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a fantastic game, and my first 10 hours with the game have been very fun and very enjoyable. And I hope if you were thinking about getting this game, I have convinced you to do so. I mean, I'm not getting paid commission or anything by anybody, but I do think it is well worth your time and a very enjoyable experience.
Make sure to tune into the podcast next week because I assume you'll be a lot further in at that point.
And I'll be able to get my an overall general, not as specific thoughts as this video, but yes, in the podcast next week, I will be talking about this game once I've played more of it because I am going to play more of it. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. But before you leave, if you want, coming up probably on Thursday, maybe Friday, depending on how we get in on things, my PlayStation 5 will be coming in. I hope to get it on time. I should be getting it on time. And we will have Miles Morales and Demon's Souls. I will pause Valhalla to play a couple hours of Demon's Souls. Mike will be playing through Spider-Man Miles Morales, and we will have impressions videos of both of those games going up probably Friday, maybe Thursday. I don't know. We don't have a hard time on that, but we will have impressions videos on those specific games going up, and you could go and watch those if you have any interest in those games as well. But that is it for the show this week. You can follow us on Twitter at synceduppod. You can get ready for the regular show that goes up Monday, 7 a.m. Central Time Zone, gang. And honestly, you should just sit on your couch and play games this week because it's a good week to be a gamer.
That's true.
It really is.
Amen.
But we will see y'all next time.
Thank you.